recognizes the honourable member for Placentia West-Bellevue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Drug addiction, particularly drug addiction amongst our young people, is a terrible tragedy, and I'm sure that members of this honourable House know families who have been devastated by addiction. We have heard of young people who are so focused on getting their next fix or high that they stop going to school. They isolate themselves from their family, their support network, and this may indeed lead to other crimes to finance their addictions. In many cases, these young people have seen counsellors and have been involved in some form of treatment. But, Madam Speaker, there are treatment programs and interventions available in this province for drug addiction. However, the success of these programs depends on a young person's level of engagement in that treatment. When a young person is under the acute influence of drugs, he or she may not be in a position to understand the significance of the addiction and the need for help. It is important that they stop taking drugs before they can even think about treatment for their addiction, which may be a longer-term commitment. Madam Speaker, we do not stand in this House today to suggest that Bill 55 is the answer to all addiction problems in this province. Indeed, it is not. However, it is a tool in the continuum of care and treatment for young people suffering with addiction. Bill 55 provides a step towards engaging a young person to help them on the road to recovery so that they can lead happy, productive lives and contribute to society. When a young person succeeds, Madam Speaker, we all benefit as a society. This bill will provide a key role in the safe and secure withdrawal management for young people who are unable to fully understand and make an informed decision respecting their need to undergo treatment for addictions and are unable to take steps to begin recovery and reduce the risk of harm to themselves or others. We know that the biggest challenge in mental health and addictions is timely access to care. Another challenge sometimes faced by young people and their families is when they have to travel out of province to access this care. We are very fortunate as Newfoundlanders and Labradorians to have Hope Valley Centre in Grand Falls Windsor for youth with addictions. Should the Secure Withdrawal Management Act, Bill 55, be passed by this honourable House, and I sincerely hope that it is, Hope Valley Centre will be able to provide secure withdrawal management for young people in a safe and comfortable environment. This care and treatment will be provided by highly dedicated and professional staff, which include a social worker, a nurse practitioner, a physician, a psychiatrist, an occupational therapist, and a psychologist. Since its opening in 2014, Hope Valley Centre has served approximately 100 young people, ranging in age from 12 to 18 years of age. This includes an equal number of males and females, the majority of whom are over the age of 16. While this includes young people from all 4 regions of our province, the majority of these people have come from the Eastern region, which is not surprising given the Eastern region is the largest geographic area and has the greatest population density. The number of referrals to this centre has been steadily increasing. In fact, 37% of admissions to date have occurred since January of 2016. Madam Speaker, young people who have received treatment on a voluntary basis at Hope Valley Centre typically present with polysubstance abuse, including alcohol, cannabis, opioids, inhalants, cocaine, and benzodiazepines. Evidence collected to date shows that if a young person stays at Hope Valley for 10 days, the chance of completing the treatment program increases, and that is a very positive statistic. Addiction issues are on the rise, Madam Speaker, and not only in Newfoundland and Labrador, but across the country. It is our responsibility as a government, and indeed as members of our society, to do our utmost to protect the health and well-being of our young people so that they have every opportunity to grow into healthy and thriving adults. And the Secure Withdrawal Management Act, Bill 55, is a step in that right direction. And it has 2 main goals: to provide for the treatment, supervision, care, and support of young persons who are suffering from addiction to drugs in a safe and secure environment, and to remove young people from their chaotic lifestyles and, in some cases, criminal activity, so as to assist them with withdrawal from drugs and to engage them in treatment for their addictions in a non-secure setting on a voluntary basis or in the community. Bill 55 consists of 4 parts. Part 1 sets out the purpose and general principles of the Act, which include provide for the treatment, care and supervision of young persons with drug addiction and to provide a secure place for those young persons to withdraw from drugs, to prevent young persons with a drug addiction from causing harm to themselves or another, from suffering substantial mental health or physical deterioration or serious mental or physical impairment, to provide for the apprehension, detainment, custody, restraint, observation, assessment, medical treatment, stabilization, care and supervision of young persons by means that are the least restrictive and intrusive, and to provide for the rights of young persons apprehended, detained, restrained, admitted, assessed, stabilized, cared for and supervised under the Act. Part 1 of this bill also states that the Act is to be interpreted and administered in accordance with the best interests of the young person, Madam Speaker. Part 2 of the Act is quite detailed and sets out the process by which a young person may be required to undergo a period of secure withdrawal management. And secure withdrawal management, Madam Speaker, is defined as the following: care, support and medical treatment of a young person with drug addiction detained in a facility during a drug-free period in a safe and secure environment, which would allow the young person to decide, while not under the acute influence of drugs, whether to accept treatment for drug addiction. Bill 55, Madam Speaker, focuses on the young person safely withdrawing or detoxing from drugs. To be placed on a secure unit for the purpose of withdrawal from drugs management, a court order will be required. The bill specifies that with the consent of the young person's parent or guardian, a manager of the facility may make the application to the court. Madam Speaker, as the Minister of Health and Community Services indicated during his remarks in opening debate on Bill 55, referrals will be received by an admissions committee of which the manager of Hope Valley Centre is a member. All of the information gathered from healthcare professionals and parents or guardians regarding the young person's addiction will be considered, and a determination will be made as to whether the young person meets the criteria for admission to the centre. Where the manager reasonably believes that all of the criteria for admission have been met, an application may be made to the court to seek the apprehension, detainment and conveyance of a young person to the centre for a period of secure withdrawal management. Part 2 sets out the process to be followed to obtain the order and to who notice of the application shall be given. It also sets out the process by which an order may be appealed. Where a judge is satisfied that a secure withdrawal management order should be made, he or she may make an order for a minimum of 5 days and up to a maximum of 10 days. Mr. Speaker, the length of the order reflects the average length of stay required for a young person to safely withdraw from drugs. Where additional time may be required depending on the nature of the young person's addiction, the manager may apply to the court for an order to extend the young person's stay on the secure unit for up to an additional 10 days. Part 2 of the bill also sets out the process for obtaining the renewal order. If an order is obtained from the court, the order is authority for the police, where their assistance is required, to apprehend, detain and convey a young person to the centre. Bill 55 does contemplate the situation where a parent or guardian may be able to safely convey the young person to a facility. In those instances, police assistance may not be required. However, where the police are needed, the bill grants them the legal authority they need to search for, apprehend and convey the young person to the centre. The secure withdrawal management order is also authority for the staff at the centre to provide support and assistance, including medical treatment, to a young person that is reasonably necessary for the young person to safely withdraw from drugs. Part 2 of Bill 55 also sets out the rights of a young person. The bill requires the police, the manager and a rights advisor at various intervals to advise the young person of his or her rights under the legislation. The police must advise a young person at the time of apprehension of his or her right to contact a parent or guardian or to contact legal counsel. The manager must, within 12 hours of the young person's arrival at the centre, advise the young person of his or her rights, including the right to contact a parent or guardian, the right to contact legal counsel, the right to contact a rights advisor, and the right to appeal the secure withdrawal management order. A rights advisor within 24 hours of the young person's arrival at the centre must once again advise the young person of these rights. Bill 55 also requires that while a young person is subject to a secure withdrawal management order, he or she shall be continuously assessed to ensure that the criteria for admission to the centre continues to be met, and where a young person no longer meets the criteria, the manager shall take the necessary steps to release the young person. This may require an application to the court to release the young person early. And Part 3 of the bill focuses on the court proceedings and the manner in which the hearing of the application for a secure withdrawal management order may be conducted. Part 4 of the bill is the general part and sets out the requirement to develop the care and treatment plan for the young person. Bill 55 requires that all information collected in accordance with the Act be kept confidential. The Personal Health Information Act will continue to apply for collection, use and disclosure of personal health information. This bill requires the legislation be reviewed every 5 years to consider any improvements necessary. It also contains regulation making authority for both Cabinet and the Minister to implement the policy intent reflected in the bill. The proclamation of the Act will be deferred to allow time to develop these regulations and the policy manual that will accompany the Act, as well as to undertake appropriate education and awareness. Madam Speaker, this bill reflects a part of the overall continuum of treatment for young people with drug addiction. For that small number of young people who may benefit from withdrawal management in a secure setting, Bill 55 provides a mechanism to provide that level of support. And Madam Speaker, I want to personally thank the Minister of Health and Community Services for bringing this forward, because this is a very important piece of legislation that I've worked with him on now since being elected 1 year ago. I know the member for Conception Bay South referenced the number of years that went into this, and from the previous administration. Unfortunately, they were not in a position to bring this forward, but I do certainly thank them for their efforts on this, but it's been a long time coming. And as the Minister also referenced, we have several people in the gallery today who worked very hard on this legislation, and of course many people in my district and across the province has come to know the name of Ruby Hoskins as a very functional individual who works very hard on the causes that matter deeply to her. And the Stand Against Drugs Committee has done extremely excellent work on the Browne Peninsula, and indeed the entire province. And I know that they are pleased with this legislation, as am I. And again, this is not the end of the road for our advocacy work together. We will continue working alongside her group, as well as the Federation of School Councils, to ensure that we continue to address the mental health and addictions of our province. Because for me, Madam Speaker, this is very personal. I have had a number of mental health issues in my own family, and I had an uncle, in fact, who took his own life as a result of mental health issues. So for me, this is very personal. And it's days like today are the reasons why I offered myself for public office, the reason why I entered politics, to make positive changes in our communities. And I couldn't be happier that the Minister of Health was so willing to work on this matter with us to ensure that the young people of our province, many of whom are around my age, friends of mine, Madam Speaker, people I know who have succumbed to the influence of drugs, and this is an extremely positive step in moving this issue forward in our province. So, Madam Speaker, I certainly hope that the entire House votes for this legislation, and I can't say thank you enough to the outside groups in my district who have helped make this a reality, and to the Minister of Health for bringing this forward. Thank you, Madam Speaker.